Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and welcome back to Black American Lineage. Thank you for your support, for subscribing to the channel, for your thumbs up, and for your comments. Thank you for supporting this channel. And today I want to talk about black immigrants again, because they just say the darndest things, and they also say things that don't add up. As black Americans, we take our position here in the United States for granted. We focus a lot on the negative because we live negative to a certain extent. But we really don't always understand how good we have it here. We probably have it better than I'm not going to say probably. We have it better than any black people in the world. And a lot of us have it better than white people. So we don't always appreciate what we have, and other people want what we have, but they won't acknowledge it, so they try to put themselves in competition with us. It's like when you're in a family and one child is the favorite and doesn't know he or she is the favorite, but the other children know you're the favorite, and they're competing with the other child, but the other child doesn't know it. And that's the position we're in here in Black America. We have these immigrants coming here, competing with us, trying to show us that they're the favored, and we don't even know we're in competition with these people because they just don't show up on our radar. Let me let you listen in to this conversation.
Actually have lineage traced back to Massachusetts.
So that's so interesting because so Shirley Chisholm, right? Like Shirley Chisholm and her parents when they came here to New York, and when she went to Brooklyn College, right? Her family was given housing priority over African American families, and she wrote about that in her book to share to people that like during that time America was intentionally bringing Caribbean families here and giving them more generational wealth and taking that away from the African Americans that were already here, like the ones who migrated from the South. She wrote about it in her book, and many of the Caribbean Americans did.
So I went to Brooklyn College too, and I have this Trinidadian professor. She told me this, and I can't find the statistic, the data. I can't find it. But what she said was like, back in like the 60s, 70s, they wanted a more docile N-word. Like they wanted a more docile black person. And they felt like the Caribbeans were that. And the black Americans, they were on the Black Panther time and civil rights. They was doing too much. Yeah. So they brought over the more docile, well-behaved, hardworking black people from the Caribbean, and they gave them opportunities to land and housing, and especially in New York. So that's why you see that a lot of Caribbeans own houses here, and our homeowners here have stores. Like my grandmother has like 4 properties in Crown Heights, and her husband, he's Guyanese. He had like corner stores and things of that sort. Meanwhile, my side that I grew up on, we've always been renters. We've always been just, workers. We've never owned anything. So it's just really interesting that is the case. And like, I can't find the statistics on it, but I'm happy that you mentioned that because my Trinidadian professor was like, no, you need to look into this.
Yeah, you have to.
And I'm like, when you look into it, it's kind of like, wow, like they're just giving what we work for away.
And that's why we ask for reparations. Like, I'm literally like, that's like, it's because every other subgroup of people, even within black people, have gotten more than African Americans, and just people don't know that. And I get why there's the beef, because you just don't know.
Yeah, right? It's a misinformation, and like
this conversation could have been put in a garbage bag and thrown down the garbage, because that's all they're doing is talking garbage. It still comes back to them having to bring black Americans into their conversation. First of all, America has her faults. We all know that. But there's no such thing as America taking generational wealth away from black Americans and giving it to Caribbeans. Their whole conversation had a self-serving tone about it. So I went and found this article from NPR from February of 2021. So they gave them plenty of time to do the research and write the article entitled, "In the Story of U.S. Immigration, Black Immigrants Are Often Left Out." Okay? So now this is what the research says. They're talking about black immigrants had it so great. This article says Black immigrants are often left out. So the director of Black Alliance for Just Immigration named Nana Gayumfi, she's speaking to a reporter from NPR, and she tells about the challenges Black immigrants face in the United States. She says Black migrants, and they're calling them migrants now, Black migrants face a lot of challenges that other migrant groups do not face or don't face to the same degree. Much of that rooted in the racial inequality, the anti-blackness that is inherently part of this country. When we see who, for example, is being let into the United States, and we look at Black migrants, we don't have the same numbers, and we already know that. We're very dependent upon visas, such as diversity visas. And we find that over time, there's always been these attacks on the types of visas that allow Black migrants to be connected to their families here in the United States. As Black immigrants, we are much more likely to find ourselves in detention or deportation proceedings because we've been pulled over by the police in the same way that so many Black people we hear about. And then when we look at separation, that's often a conversation that is focused on brown folks. But as Black migrants, we find ourselves separated through the criminal sanction system, through child services, and the social services system, separated in detention, separated by deportation. So see, that doesn't sound like anybody getting any preferential treatment to me. And this is the woman who works with it. The reporter asks, do Black migrants have to contend with the border in the same way some other groups do? She said, when you look at where and how Black migrants are coming to the border, most of them are coming in through either Central or South America. They've got to cross these spaces that even within those countries have anti-Blackness. They deal with the fact that they don't speak the language. They are often refused medical care, refused housing, been told, we don't know how to teach Black children. I think of this Angolan woman, she said. She flew in through Ecuador with her husband and her 7 children, and they finally made it into Mexico, where they were immediately detained and held in prison there. When they were finally released, there was no place for them to stay. They had to sleep on the streets, as many Black migrants are forced to do. And as she was talking about this difficulty that she was going through, really tears streaming down her face, she then said, but I can't wait till we go to America, where we'll be able to find safety and security and refuge. Okay, I mean, really. And Scott, she said to the reporter, we were trying to figure out what safety is she going to have in the United States. Botham John's family from St. Lucia thought he had safety, and he was killed in his own apartment eating ice cream and watching television. Where are they going to live with a 9-person family, and what kind of discrimination are they going to face as Black people? It was heartbreaking to hear of her hopes and aspirations when we know what it means to be Black in the United States. And that's why we work at the intersection of immigration and racial justice. We must fight alongside African Americans if any of us are to be free. So see, somebody got it. Somebody got it. I'm going to read that to y'all one more time. She said it was heartbreaking to hear of her hopes and aspirations when we know what it means to be Black in the United States. And that's why we work at the intersection of immigration and racial justice. We must fight alongside African Americans if any of us are to be free. But the problem that they might face when they decide they want to fight alongside African Americans is that African Americans might not want to fight alongside them because too much has been said. Too much arrogance has been shown. So we'll see about that. And so this article goes on to state other things negative things that are happening with black immigrants, including targeting them for deportation more so than anybody else. And we all saw in real time what was happening with those Haitians when they tried to cross the border illegally. So if they think they can afford to come to the United States and make enemies of black Americans, let them go right ahead. Let them go right ahead. And we'll see how it works out for them. Okay, y'all, let me know what you think about the video. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel. And as always, have a great day.